Welcome back to Katana TCG. In this week's video, we're going to be taking a look at Gardevoir EX, the most powerful card coming out in Scarlet Violet base set this month. When it's time to upgrade your TCG accessories, make sure you're checking out inkgaming.com. They have a wide variety of sleeves, dice, deck boxes, and a plethora of things that you can customize like mouse pads, play mats, mat bags, as well as gaming bags. And when you use the code PCSPOD10 at checkout, you can get 10% off your entire order from inkgaming.com. Your game, your style. Gardevoir EX is a 310 HP Psychic type Pokemon with the ability Psychic Embrace. As much as you'd like during your turn, you can accelerate Psychic energy from your discard pile onto your Psychic Pokemon, and if you do this, you do put 20 damage counters on your Pokemon per energy accelerated to said Pokemon. And for 2 Psychic and 1 colorless, you do Miraculous Force for 190 damage, and you recover from all special conditions. It is weak to dark and has a resistance to fighting and a 2 retreat cost. Before we dive into any speculative lists, it's important to look at the Aichi Championship runner-up Gardevoir EX deck. Gardevoir EX is actually not the primary attacker in this deck, but the Gardevoir from Chilling Reign is 140 HP Psychic Pokemon with the ability Shining Arcana. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck. If any of them are basic energy, you can accelerate them to any of your Pokemon any way you like, and you may put the other cards into your hand. But the attack Brainwave is incredibly powerful. For 3 colorless, you do 60 damage, and this attack does 30 more damage for each psychic energy attached to this Pokemon. So you can accelerate 6 energy from your discard pile with Gardevoir EX's ability and then use this attack for 240 damage. But it's not limited to just that, because if you accelerate from hand, that bumps you up to 270 damage. And then if you use Shining Arcana and get an additional attachment, you can bump this damage up to 300, and that is knocking out basically everything. And if you accelerate 6 energy onto that Gardevoir, we also have Emergency Jelly. Given that you have to put 2 damage counters on your Pokemon when you accelerate to them, and because 6 will not knock out the Gardevoir from Chilling Reign, you can use the Emergency Jelly as an attachment, attack for your turn, and heal that 120 back off of you, and leave 140 HP Pokemon in the active, which is actually pretty difficult for things like Lost Box to try to get through. Another great focus in this deck is the addition of Zacian V. The same exact attack is built into this bad boy, but the HP threshold is much higher, so you can accelerate much more energy from Gardevoir EX onto Zacian to hit larger numbers, as this damage does not have a cap whatsoever. And using it in Lineage with Sky Seal Stone will keep those pesky VMAX and V-Star Pokemon off the field and trade very favorably into this Gardevoir EX deck. Now let's look at some speculative lists on how we can use Gardevoir EX effectively with other attackers, such as Mewtwo-V Union. For those who have played against it, we understand that Mewtwo-V Union is very difficult to set up, but once it is cooking, it is cooking. The ability Photon Barrier is incredibly strong. It eliminates the effects of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks, so things like Giratina V-Star will not be able to delete this off the field, and Sableye is rendered ineffective when Mewtwo-V Union is live with its ability. Now Super Regeneration heals 200 damage from it every turn for just 2 Psychic and 1 colorless, and that is incredibly annoying. And Psy-Explosion, for the same attack cost, can spread 16 damage counters anywhere on your opponent's field, and that is incredibly suppressive given that we need to evolve into larger Pokemon from smaller Pokemon that have such a lower HP threshold. And Final Burn, for 3 Psychic and 1 colorless, does 300 damage, and that knocks out just about everything in the Pokemon TCG right now. But it wouldn't be a cool list if we didn't have Spice. Once you're done Mewtwo-V Unioning, you can use Weird Ear V, switch it into the active, move all of your basic energy from all of your Pokemon onto the Weird Ear, and hit for 40 times the amount of energy attached to this Pokemon because of the Frontier Road ability. This card is busted, and using this card in Lineage with the Sky Seal Stone is equally as powerful, if not more so, than the Zacian V from the previous deck we looked at. Another great partner for the Gardevoir EX is none other than Shadow Rider Calyrex, 320 HP VMAX Pokemon, Psychic type, Underworld Door ability, draw 2 cards when you accelerate a Psychic energy from your hand onto one of your bench Pokemon. This card has it all, and the Max Geist attack definitely doesn't fall short. For 3 colorless, you do Max Geist, which does 10 damage. And then this attack does 30 more damage for every energy that's in play. So if all of your energy is spread out amongst all of your Pokemon, you can hit for upwards of 370 damage, and that is busted. But a really cool thing, because these VMAX Pokemon are just so tanky and Gardevoir EX is really good at recovering energy from the discard pile, we get to utilize something called Cheryl. You heal all the damage from each of your evolution Pokemon, and if you do, you discard all the energy from those Pokemon that were healed this way. And what's really cool is we reset all these big tanky Pokemon and then re-accelerate the energy onto whatever attacker we see fit with Gardevoir EX's ability, and that is cracked. And last but certainly not least, I really think that Gardevoir EX has a great partner in M2Vstar, which has seen little to no play in the standard format thus far, but for 1 Psychic and 1 colorless, it does Psypurge for 90 times damage, and you discard 3 Psychic energy from your Pokemon, any of your Pokemon. This attack does 90 damage for each card you discarded this way, so you can hit 270 damage just for discarding 3 energy that you accelerated from the discard pile with the Gardevoir EX, and that is really, really good. And it also has a pretty worthwhile V-Star power in Star Raid. For 1 Psychic and 1 colorless, this attack does 120 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon V. Pokemon V will definitely see a decrease in play with EX around the corner, but that doesn't mean they won't exist. And to finish off your opponent's Pokemon on the bench, we have a great sniping Pokemon in the form of Galarian Articuno. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may attach up to 2 Psychic energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon, and its attack Psylaser for 2 Psychic and 1 colorless does 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. This is a very strong card, and now we don't need to have the energy in our hand. We can just accelerate it with our good pal Gardevoir EX. Gardevoir EX looks incredibly powerful. Yes, it's not a very strong attacker. Yes, you put damage counters on your Pokemon when you have to accelerate the energy from the discard pile, but this card looks fantastic, and there's a lot more to discover about the Scarlet Violet base set that is dropping this month. And if you enjoyed my content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to my channel, and comment below which deck you'd like me to talk about next. And be sure to check out the PCS podcast, where Justin and I dive into all things competitive Pokemon TCG all the time. Deuces.